Alien Romulus proves that Ridley Scott really hates James Cameron. Ridley Scott's Alien is regarded as one of the best science fiction films ever made. The horror movie set in space was groundbreaking. James Cameron's Aliens, the second in the series, is also seen as one of the best science fiction films ever made. The more action-based follow-up is also regarded as one of the best sequels of all time. Something that has never sat well with Ridley Scott, as he was not asked to come back to make the sequel. And unlike Ridley Scott, James Cameron actually wrote Aliens.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man.
And I think if you asked Alien fans, a lot would say Aliens is their favourite. Personally, I love them both, but in Ridley Scott's own words, it pissed him off.
I may be synthetic, but I'm not stupid.
Well, Scott returned to the Alien universe in 2012 to explain every bloody detail about the aliens' origin story. Yes, Ridley felt the need to link his monster movie to the meaning of life, and Ridley is back again producing Alien Romulus, which promised from the trailers to be a return to the horror monster story, with none of that the elixir of life black goo bullshit. Well, Ridley is involved, so the chances of us not hearing about the black goo saving humanity are pretty slim, which is partly the reason why Alien Romulus really frustrates me. Frustrating because I really like the first act. The rest of the film, well, we'll get to that.
Run.
Firstly, the film looks bloody great. It's not obvious from the advertising, but this film is set between the original Alien film and the second film, Aliens. Placing the film between the first two movies causes quite a few problems, but I'll come back to that. The set designs, the lighting, the sound are all spot on. When any of the control panels fire up, you'd swear you were back in 1979. And the cast is good, even though they're also bloody young. I do prefer when a cast is more mixed with age and personalities, but it seems to be the in thing to have everyone, especially the lead actors, look incredibly young.
Are you sure you want to do this?
In reality, Kaylee Spanny, who plays the lead Rain, is 26 years old, only 2 years younger than Sigourney Weaver, who was 28 when she originally played Ripley. It's just that Sigourney Weaver looked more capable than our Rain actress, who looks about 14. The film explains why all the parents are dead, and we have had the oldies getting picked off by the xenomorph before, so a group of 20-year-olds it is, and they do a good job. They really do look like they live in this environment. They look like they know how to fly the ship. I could have done without one of them knowing how to use a gun by playing video games and reading magazines.
Where'd you learn all this?
Games and magazines.
Magazines. That couldn't sound more like it was written by a boomer if it tried. You have to remember a magazine was used as a weapon in the original Alien. So I'm guessing they make a comeback in the future. But the surprise character is Andy, played by David Johnson, Rain's carer droid who was programmed by her father to look after her after her parents had died. I thought Andy was going to annoy the hell out of me.
Maybe it's because I'm on this seafood diet. Like seafood, I eat it.
But I was wrong. I loved Andy and his pretty short hair, concerned face. I also loved his change into the more capable Andy when he gets his hardware upgrade halfway through the movie.
Sure, who the fuck are you?
Even the slow pacing of the first act to set up the story and the characters was right up my alley. I'm a big fan of the old school slow horror setup. So far so good. We have a good simple idea for a story. We have an enjoyable cast. We have great direction. What could go wrong? Well, I'll tell you what goes wrong, and I can tell you the exact moment it happens. This monstrosity turns up.
You're fucking kidding me.
What the fuck were they thinking? A recreation of Ash, the android from Alien. Except this time, instead of being played by a person, we get a puppet CGI Uncanny Valley freak show that gave me the bloody creeps. All I could think about was the little puppet leader from Total Recall. All except for the times he turns up on screens around the ship, which happens a lot. Then it was pure max headroom. And the worst bit is, there is absolutely no need to recreate a nightmare-fueled version of Ian Holm, who played Ash. The android in this film is Rook, a completely different character that could have been played by anyone. And anyone would have been way less distracting than what we got. And it's not like he's just in one scene. Oh no, he becomes android exposition and literally pops up on screens all around the ship to fill in the audience with what's going on.
You have my sympathies.
Now, there were a couple of things that happened before fake Ash turned up that made you think, now come on, facehuggers jumping through a glass door of a room that no one could escape from is a good example. But up to then, the good had outweighed the bad. But once fake Ash turns up, the film goes into freefall with its need to recreate scenes from every bloody movie in the franchise. Remember when Ripley learned how to use a gun? Remember when Ripley came out of the elevator shaft with the wind blowing through her hair? Remember when Ripley was trapped with the alien and had to put on the spacesuit? Remember when Ripley said, "Get away from her, you bitch"?
Get away from her, you bitch!
Get away from her, you bitch.
Remember when Ripley put the android into the sleep chamber? Remember the human xenomorph hybrid? Remember when the aliens were crawling through the roof space? Remember when they fired up Ash to question him? Remember when Bishop said he preferred artificial person?
I prefer the term artificial person myself.
Remember when the alien put its face right up to Ripley? Remember when facehuggers ran around like spiders and they had terrible vision? No, I don't remember that either. Apparently now if you heat up the room to body temperature and you are super quiet, you can just walk past the facehuggers. And you don't even have to be that quiet. In this film, one guy takes a phone call and he only gets noticed because he starts sweating.
There's something in the fucking water.
I don't think they should have ever expanded on the facehuggers, because I preferred when the facehuggers had one purpose: come out of the egg, face loving, death. Yes, we did see him running around the medical centre, chasing Ripley and Newt, but it always felt like they had a limited range and lifespan. The xenomorphs didn't just let them loose, they used to put the egg right next to the person before the face loving began. And then they just dropped dead, how it should be. But the facehuggers in this film are running around the whole ship in packs, which I suppose is fine, but where the hell did they all come from? Fake Ash has a throwaway line that he engineered the parasites, the facehuggers, from the xenomorphs' DNA.
Parasites were designed by engineered from the xenomorph's DNA.
What? How the hell did he do that? He engineered an organism that he had never seen before perfectly. An organism that is a completely separate creature from the xenomorph. What sent him down that path? That'd be like seeing a bird for the first time and thinking, I should make an egg, even though you've never seen an egg in your life. And the bird you have is male and it doesn't lay eggs. And why is he calling them xenomorphs?
Excuse me, sir. A what?
A xenomorph.
And you may ask, where did the xenomorph come from that supplied the magical DNA? Well, it's the one Ripley shot out of the escape module with a harpoon in the original Alien. But how can this be? This film is set 20 years after the events of the first movie, and 37 years before the events of Aliens. Aliens informs us that Ripley's been floating around the universe for 57 years before she's found.
How long?
57 years.
This is a very important part of the story. The whole setup of Aliens is that no one knows what happened to the crew of the Nostromo 57 years earlier. In fact, no one believes Ripley's story when she tells them about the aliens.
The analysis team, which went over the lifeboat centimeter by centimeter, found no physical evidence of the creature you described.
Good. That's because I blew it out of the goddamn airlock.
They think she's full of it because they've already established a colony on the planet where the facehuggers were discovered.
And found something never recorded once in over 300 surveyed worlds.
And even when they are forced to investigate, they only send a small group of Marines and a very inexperienced leader, Colonel Marine Lieutenant Gorman, not the actions of a company that because of this film should already know about the aliens.
Why don't you just check out LV-426?
Because I don't have to. There have been people there for over 20 years.
And not only do they know about the aliens in this film, set 37 years earlier, they somehow know the full story, even about Ripley in the escape pod and the harpoon.
One of our towing ships first made contact with this specimen 2 decades ago. Of the 7 crew members aboard the USS Nostromo, only 1 survived, blowing the creature out of the airlock.
How the fuck do they know that without finding Ripley?
I don't understand this.
And why and how is it kept a secret for another 37 years after this film?
The lifeboat's flight recorder corroborates some elements of your account.
Plus, how the hell did the original Alien end up in a cocoon with the wreckage of the Nostromo? When Ripley blew up that ship, she had to get far enough away to avoid the blast from the nuclear bomb that destroyed the Nostromo.
3, 2, 1.
How was there any wreckage at all left? And why is it all floating around together? I tell you, the bits of the Nostromo surviving the blast make as much sense as bits of the Death Star surviving. And the annoying thing is that there is absolutely no reason for this film to be placed between the first and second Alien movies. It would have made a lot more sense to have this film set after the second movie, Aliens, where they find Ripley and know her story.
This bullshit that you think is so important.
Having the xenomorph still alive after 20 years is ridiculous and unnecessary, as this isn't a one-off creature, so coming across another one isn't out of the realm of possibilities. But if they really wanted to revisit the same alien, having it linked to finding Ripley in Aliens would have worked so much better. Instead, this film now makes the events in Aliens look idiotic.
Somebody must have bagged one of Ripley's bad guys here.
Acid for blood.
You bastard, Ridley. Still trying to screw over James Cameron and his sequel after all these years. But seriously, if you're a first-time viewer and you decide to watch the films in a chronological order, Aliens doesn't make sense anymore.
Fucking assholes.
So yes, this film really frustrated me. I enjoyed the first act so much that I went and saw the film a second time to see if I was being too harsh on the second and third acts. And sadly, I wasn't. Thank you again, Fume, for sponsoring this video. So in the end, we have a film that for the first 40 minutes sets up a great story, to only then dive bomb down in the second half by stupid characters making stupid decisions, video game scenes, an overload of nostalgia baiting, and worst of all, it sets out to make Aliens irrelevant.
Get away from her, you bitch!